Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to talk a little bit about wind drift on 22s, right? And that's basically what we're trying to predict what the wind is doing to our bullets. It adds a whole new dimension to your shooting. It's a lot of fun. Now the thing with wind drift is if you're shooting, let's say, a 5.56 out of an AR, I mean, if at 100 yards, if you've got a 10 mile per hour wind that's coming in at 90 degrees, right? So it's hitting the bullet sideways. It's only going to move it about an inch, and you might find yourself wondering if it was really the wind that pushed the bullet or if you jerked your finger. But if you're shooting, let's say that 5.56 out to 400 yards, right, a 10 mile per hour wind can move it about 12 inches. Okay, so now you know, okay, that's the wind. That wasn't me jerking the finger, because when you pulled the trigger, you saw that your reticle didn't move, or your red dot didn't move. So here's the thing. A lot of people don't always have access to a 400-yard range. So with 22s, we can practice. We can practice some of these things at shorter distances. So at the 150 yards that I was shooting today, a 10 mile per hour wind coming in at 90 degrees will move the bullet 12 inches. So that's exactly what it's doing to the 5.56 at 400 yards. So I can practice working with the wind at a smaller range. Okay, so first let's talk about reading the wind. Okay, because we gotta know what the wind is doing. If you notice, I got a whole bunch of ribbons that I just hung all over the place over here, and what I'm looking for is, okay, if the ribbon's hanging straight down, that's no wind. Okay, that's 5 miles per hour, 10 miles per hour, 15 miles per hour, 20 miles per hour, and usually all you gotta remember is, okay, that's 20. Okay, that's 0, and then just divide it evenly. Okay, so 0, 5, 10, 15, 20. Okay, so that's how you read the wind. Now, one of the things that you'll notice, and I can see it right now, I mean, I got ribbons here going this way and ribbons over there going in a different direction. So the wind will do different things at different distances. Okay, so that's one of the things that you kind of have to get used to, that the wind is not consistent. So it really helps if you have a lot of wind indicators along the entire distance that you're shooting at, so you can kind of figure out, okay, is the wind really pushing in one direction? Does it look like they're offsetting each other? Because sometimes the wind does, spinny stuff like that. Or you might have like a little bit of wind at one point, but the rest of, the ribbons are still, so you know that it's just, it's just at one spot that the wind is passing through. The other thing is, if you have a range that, or if you're shooting at a place where you're shooting at different elevations, the wind can be doing different things at different heights. Because sometimes I'll look up there high in the trees, and I'll see that the tops of the trees are moving, but I'll see that the ribbons down here on the ground are really not moving. And then vice versa. Sometimes I'll see that the ribbons on the ground are moving, but the treetops are not moving. So these are all things that that you're going to pay attention to, and you'll start paying attention to these things if you start doing this. Okay, so this is one of the things that you just start doing it at some point, and you look for a windy day where windy days are like, well, I really can't shoot really tight groups because they'll be, the wind's going to be moving all around. So let's actually play with the wind and get used to shooting the wind. And what I will usually do is I'll set myself up, and I'm waiting for the wind to pick up. I want like all my ribbons moving in the same direction. Okay, so and what I'll usually do is I'll squeeze off my shots pretty quickly, because I want to get, let's say, all 5 shots off within a short period of time, so the wind doesn't have a chance to change what it's doing. Okay, so that's one of the things that I do. So looking at 22s. Okay. Now here's the thing, because the wind is so unpredictable, like I got ribbons moving down there, but I got nothing moving over here. What I do is I kind of round off my numbers to the nearest foot. Okay, the targets that I shoot are about, basically I'm concentrating on a 8x11 paper, and then the whole target is 12 inches. So I round things off to the nearest foot. It's also easy for me at distance to estimate what adjustments I need to make. Okay, because if I know that this box is about 12 inches across, if I want to make a 6-inch adjustment, I know I gotta, basically cut the box in half. Or if I might want to make a 12-inch adjustment, I just double the size of the box. So working in terms of a half foot, a foot, 2 foot, 3 foot, I find that it's a lot easier to work with in the field. So with the 22 long rifle, okay, if you have a 10 mile per hour wind, okay, And this is again coming in at 90 degrees. At 100 yards, it'll move it a half foot. At 150 yards, it will move it 1 foot, 1 full foot. At 200 yards, 2 feet. At 250 yards, 3 feet. Okay, so again, 100 yards, half a foot. 150 yards, 1 foot. 200 yards, 2 foot. 250 yards, 3 foot. So let me put this down. And here's the thing: before I put it down, if you got, let's say, a 5 mile per hour wind, well, what you do is you just cut that in half. Or if you got a 20 mile per hour wind, you just double these adjustments. Okay, so that's how you can work with this. Likewise, if you have a wind that's coming in as, instead of it coming in at 90 degrees, right? Let's say it's instead of it, let's say the bullet's going out that way. That's a full adjustment. If it's coming in diagonally, that's a half adjustment. So again, I would cut the number in half as far as the adjustment that I need to make. I did some shooting earlier. There's two different groups here. There's a grouping on this side and there's a grouping on that side, because at one point I had a pretty strong wind pushing that way, in that direction. It was about 15 miles per hour. And again, I tried to get the shots off as quickly as I could because I wanted the wind to be somewhat consistent. So because it was about 15 miles per hour, 150 yards, I made a full, 12-inch, 1 foot adjustment to the right over here. I managed to get 3 shots solidly on the paper. What's interesting is that you can see the bullets, how they're almost, when they went through the paper, they're almost going in kind of sideways because the wind is pushing them sideways. Even that one over there, the wind probably dropped a little bit. It's still a little bit elongated. And I got hits over here on the side of the box. So this is interesting because I got 1, 2, 3, 4 hits on the side of the box. And you can see how the bullet, because the box was sitting perfectly like this. So in order for that to get hit over there, the bullets kind of just went into it sideways. So I think that's really interesting. This was a new box, so these aren't like prior shots. I know that this was from this shooting that I did. And then I did a second grouping later on. At that time, the wind was pushing in this direction over here. And I actually overestimated the wind. I thought I had a 10 mile per hour wind, so I adjusted like about a foot to the side over here. And I didn't quite get in the paper. It kind of landed over here because I guess it actually turned out to be 5 miles per hour because they kind of landed over here, and then some of them landed way off to the side over here. And what I noticed when I was shooting is that, I had ribbons pushing this way, but they weren't all pushing that way. So I had like half my ribbons pushing in this direction, so I didn't have, so the bullet wasn't being pushed along the entire way. This is definitely not a science in terms of the wind is so inconsistent that we're not really looking for tight groups. We're just trying to get on the paper. And we're just trying to build up an experience in terms of, just being able to look at the ribbons, because over here, like I said, I can see ribbons moving over here, right, pretty strongly, but further down range, I really don't see any ribbons moving down there. So if I was going to, like over here, it looks like I really got to make, a 10 mile per hour wind adjustment in that direction. But in fact, because I don't have ribbons moving down range, maybe I wouldn't make a 10 mile per hour adjustment. I would only make a 5 mile per hour adjustment. So, this is just, you start building up this type of experience. It's a fun exercise that you can do on a windy day. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it. If you get a chance to try this, please post your results in the comment section. Talk to you guys soon.